lipstick, my lipstick, my lipstick, my lipstick, my lipstick, my lipstick.
Hey you guys, I am here to read chapter 3 of Be Nice or Else by Winn Claybough. So something really cool happened. So I only uploaded 2 videos so far, and that's chapter 1 and chapter 2. And I've only been uploading on YouTube, but the author of the book, Winn Claybough, reached out to me on my Instagram, and he heard that I was reading his book and let me know that he'll be in Georgia around March, and he would love for me to come attend his event. And I thought that was pretty cool, so I'm gonna make sure I reach back out to him. And this is all just from reading. So I always wanted to know if doing something I loved would open doors for me. And I love reading. So, hey, maybe he can fly me out, so and get me a room. And I would definitely love to attend his event. But, wishful thinking. But I'm going to go ahead and get into chapter 3 of Be Nice or Else. So I got some beautiful views in the background, so you guys can watch that or just listen to me read. Let's get into it. Chapter 3. First, be nice to yourself. People often say that this or that person has not yet found himself, but the self is not something one finds. It is something one creates. By Thomas Caesar. Simply put, you can't give what you don't have. It's difficult to be nice to others when you're not nice to yourself. And it's difficult to be nice to yourself when you don't feel good about yourself. If you think that this sounds simple, harsh, complex, or like a lot of work, you're right. Working on yourself and cultivating your own self-esteem is a lot of work. It's a full-time job. You'll never receive your final certificate or graduation and be told it's time to stop working on your self-esteem. You'll never arrive at a point in life when you can make the announcement, I have plenty of happiness and self-esteem. No more. Thank you. As I've said several times in earlier chapters, those individuals who have a difficult time being nice to others often come from a place of ego or lack of self-esteem. Good self-esteem has nothing to do with ego. Ego is the sign of insecurity. Here's how you know the difference. When you're in the presence of someone who's coming from a place of ego, they want you to feel good about whom? About them. But when you're in the presence of someone who feels good about themselves, they want you to feel good about yourself. In fact, you do feel good about yourself when you're with someone who has good self-esteem, loves themselves. Good self-esteem is a gift you give to others. I have so many notes, but I'm going to take them off and I'll read them later. Put them on my mirror, actually. I read this book 5 years ago, so I took notes before. So how do you give it if you don't have it? And how do you have it if you don't give it? Sometimes you just have to fake it till you make it. You simply start being nice to yourself, whether you think you deserve it or not. You fake it until you begin to believe, and the ideas in this chapter will help you get started. Fall back in love. Here's a radical challenge. Make it a goal to fall in love with yourself. When I give that challenge to a room full of people in my seminars, I usually hear lots of nervous little giggles. For some reason, even the thought of falling in love with me seems extreme, and people reject the validity of the notion. Why would you want to make it a goal and eventually a reality to fall back in love with yourself? Once again, this book is about seeking and sharing happiness, joy, purpose, and fulfillment. To offer those gifts to others, you first have to own them yourself. Again, at the risk of sounding redundant, you can't give what you don't have. I once had the honor of knowing a wonderful woman named Noelle DiCaprio, the owner of the Noelle Spa for Beauty and Wellness. She was quite successful in her career and business, and she was heralded by many as a mentor and leader within her industry. She'd been featured and interviewed in magazines and on television for her wisdom, and many people looked to Noelle for her coaching, her business ideas, and her "you can do it" approach. Noelle had also experienced a 14-year battle with breast cancer, which eventually took her life in December 1998. I interviewed Noelle for an audio tape to raise money for breast cancer research at the City of Hope's National Medical Center 6 months before her passing. In that interview, she shared that after her double mastectomy and months of chemotherapy, she looked in the mirror and hated herself. As she beheld the massive scarring in her bald head, she felt embarrassed by the fact that cancer could show up in her body and despised herself for it. Now remember, Noelle was a mentor to many people. They looked to her for inspiration, yet she looked in the mirror and she hated herself. Noelle was wise enough to know she had to find a way to fall back in love with herself, and she did it by making bathing a ritual. Every day she spent hours in the ritual of bathing. She focused on the bath salts, I have a bunch of notes. She focused on the bath salts, the candles, the oils, and the creams and aromas. She'd spend time visiting little boutiques that sold such items, and even though she was buying them for herself, she'd have the store gift wrap everything. She put so much time into something that she'd never before had the time for, something that seemed so selfish and narcissistic, that eventually one day she woke up and realized she was back in love with herself. Once Noelle fell back in love with herself, she told her families and friends and staff, "Tell everyone I have cancer. I'm out the closet. I want everyone to know so I can help as many people as I can." Noelle told a wonderful little story about preparing to go out to a fundraiser dinner, placing her scarf on her bald head, and still feeling a little unsure of herself. How her adorable and supportive husband, Peter, looked at her and said, "Now you go out there and show them how to have cancer." How Noelle went on to raise money and awareness for cancer was unbelievable. But let me ask you, could she have accomplished so much and benefit so many people had she not fallen back in love with herself? Go through the motions to build your own gift of happiness, joy, purpose, and fulfillment so you can offer them to others. And then validate more of those gifts for yourself. Sometimes you might have to go through the motions of offering yourself gifts that you don't believe you deserve. If you knew your lover had a bad day, you want to do something about it, wouldn't you? Knowing that he or she was coming home from work, you might draw a nice bath, light candles around the bathtub, and place special salts or oils in the bath water. Maybe you'd put on some soft music, turn down the lights, and turn the telephone ringer to off. You'd then greet your lover boy or lover girl at the door and grab their briefcase or purse, hand them a glass of wine, and send them into take a well-deserved, melt your stress away, long, relaxing bath. You do that for a lover, but when was the last time you did it for yourself? When was the last time you treated yourself with such respect and love? My challenge for you and for myself is to just go through the motions. Tonight, you might be sitting in the bathwater thinking, "What the hell am I doing here?" That's okay. Eventually, actions become habits and habits become part of your personality, which builds your character and turns you into the type of person you were always meant to be, filled with blissful happiness and purpose. Refill your reservoir. Cup your two hands together as though you were going to splash water on your face. Your two hands together represent your reservoir. Your reservoir is filled with everything that makes you who you are, everything that makes you wonderful. Your reservoir contains your dreams, your fantasies, your personality, your passion, your talents, and your skills. Do you ever feel at the end of the day that your reservoir is drained and empty? How does it get drained? Traffic, bad weather, a new computer system at work, your boss's bad mood. How do you fill your reservoir back up? You can have it filled by having a customer or a friend send you dozen of roses. But can you count on that? You have to know how to fill your own reservoir. And by the way, what works for someone else may not work for you. One of your missions in life is to find out what fills up your own reservoir. For me, my reservoir gets filled with wonderful dinner out with a dear friend or two in a small, quaint restaurant with a bottle of wine and a great conversation. That fills up my reservoir like you wouldn't believe. I bet I spend more money doing that than I spend on buying clothes or taking vacations. Also, for me, going to the gym with my best buddies will fill up my reservoir. There's something amazing about doing something that feels good to me, that's good for me, and motivating someone I care about to do something good for them too. And don't even get me started on how fabulous the conversations are between our sets of exercise. The bottom line is that you have to make sure your needs are met. And sometimes the best way to make that happen is to meet them yourself. Take control of your life. Think for a moment about how computer works. It's programmed to run specific functions and tasks. Its software determines the type of output and information it will provide, and it relies on information or input received. When the computer receives good or accurate input, it performs well. When the computer receives inaccurate or garbage information, it gives back unusable garbage information. This is known as garbage in, garbage out, or GIGO. Your mind is similar to computer software. The quality of information you allow into your brain directly affects your thinking, beliefs, and behavior. What happens when you feed your mind garbage, focus on negative things, or surround yourself with negative people? What happens when you focus on violence and gossip? You probably tend to become worried, irritated, or tired. On the flip side, when you focus on the positive, productive things in your life, don't you tend to feel motivated, optimistic, more energetic? What you focus on could affect your mood. See if you agree with the following statements. What I focus on is up to me. I have control over what I think about and what I program into my mind. When I focus on distracting or negative things, my beliefs begin to change and my behavior is affected. If you agree with these statements, I would like to suggest a 3-step process to begin taking control of your life in order to be nice to yourself. Eliminate and cancel negative programming. Create a new program of things that make you happy. And 3, choose your focus. Step 1. Eliminate and cancel negative programming. One of the most important things you can do to be nice to yourself is eliminate things in your life that block or blur your perception of what being nice is all about. Divorce yourself from the people, beliefs, and experiences that cause you to be mean, unfeeling, and insensitive. Divorce yourself from even the subtleties of negative training. People would love to assume that they never program garbage into their own minds, yet it often happens by default. By not being aware of the information you take in, you allow others to decide your programming. Maybe you allow the producers of one of those horrible gossipy talk shows to decide what your programming will be. And since their choice for you is negative drama, that's what your mind, heart, and soul take in. Then your beliefs, your relationships, and your view of the entire planet are all negative. Hopeless drama. If you love negative drama, you'll definitely attract dramatic, negative people who can't wait to tell you how bad their lives are and who did what meaning thing to whom. What mean thing to whom. Years ago, a lovely woman who works for me would make it almost a daily ritual to tell me about all the negative drama and complaints from the people in my business. She'd tell me this one said this and that one said that. She truly believed she was doing me a favor by bringing me the negative information. And I think she thought it was a compliment that people would come to her with their problems and complaints. Finally, one day I asked her, "Why are you so available for that type of information?" She looked at me with a puzzled expression. So I repeated, why do so many people want to dump all their negative drama onto you? Why are you available for that? After a long conversation and a reminder about our company's very effective and positive system for expressing grievances, she finally realized she was not helping the individuals out with their problems. She was not bringing me information I could do anything with. And she was instead bringing me stress and bitterness upon herself and her coworkers. This lovely woman is now no longer available for negative gossip and drama. Have you ever had lunch with friends who had nothing to share but tragic stories they'd read in the news? Did you hear about that guy who embezzled $1 million from his company? Did you hear about the camper who got attacked by a bear? I always want to ask them, do you know these people? If the guy who lost the embezzlement money or the guy who was attacked by a bear is not a member of your family or friend or an acquaintance, then why do you care? Why do you want to invest so much time and energy into another person's misery? Why do you rubberneck to see accidents on the freeway? Why are gossip and dirt so interesting? Why is someone's misfortune so entertaining? Why don't simple acts of kindness inspire you? Why do stories of the good things people do bore you? When did you stop being a believer? We call it reality TV, but why isn't niceness just as much as a reality show like Animals Who Attack? People are so willing to give credence and attention to negative stories, but they shrug off the positive ones. Remember the movie Oh God, in which George Burns played the title role. God's goal was to use Jerry Lauder, a simple grocery store manager played by John Denver, as his messenger to send hope to the world. God asked Jerry to contact a local newspaper and television station to deliver the message of hope. But no one believed that God had spoken to Jerry and wanted to deliver a message through him. At the end of the movie, God gave this speech in a courtroom. What about all that hoo-ha with the devil a while ago from the movie? Nobody had any trouble believing that the devil took over and existed in a little girl. All she had to do was wet the rug, throw up some pea soup, and everybody believed. The devil you could believe, but not God. I'm not about to go around to every person in the world and say, look, it's me. I want to talk to you. So I picked one man, one very good man. I told him, God lives. I live. He had trouble believing too in the beginning. I know how hard it is in these times to have faith, but maybe if you could have the faith to start with, maybe the times would change. You could change. Think about it. Try. And try not to hurt each other. There's been enough of that, but it really gets in the way. If you want to be nice, you must stop giving so much power and attention to negative, unkind realities of life and pay more attention to the simple, easy expressions and demonstrations of niceness. Many years ago, someone taught me an easy method for recognizing some of the negative programmings that existed in my life in just a 1 week period of time, and I want to share it with you. Do the math. On a piece of scratch paper, I want you to calculate the number of hours you spend each week with the negative garbage programming. First, calculate how many hours a week you spend reading the newspaper. I'm not referring to the funnies. I'm talking about the Metro News. If it's 0 hours, write a big 0. Next, calculate how many hours per week you spend watching the news on television. How many hours a week do you spend watching soap operas, negative reality television shows, negative talk shows, and shows that degrade others? How many hours per week do you spend watching movies with negative or violent themes? Average the total of minutes negative in violent movies you see. For example, 2-hour movie per month equals 30 minutes per week. Finally, how many hours per week do you listen to or engage in gossip or negative conversations with others? Now, total the hours you spend focusing on garbage. Next, multiply your total garbage hours times 100. Why multiply your total hours of garbage programming by 100? Because I've heard it said that for each hour you spend focusing on negative programming of garbage, it takes a minimum of 100 hours of positive programming to counteract the effects. If you watch a negative violent movie for 2 hours, it takes 200 hours of positive programming to undo the ill effects. Now ask yourself, do I have that many hours a week to spend going to motivational seminars, reading motivational books, listening to motivational messages? Of course not. So what's the answer? What do you do about it? You eliminate the negative programming. You completely divorce yourself from the garbage. You abolish it. You get rid of it, and you completely purge it from your existence. You choose not to watch those kind of television shows and not to go to those type of violent movies and not hang around those type of gossipy people. Of course, if you're as happy as you want to be, if all you have to do is all the peace of mind that you want in your life, if you have a level of self-esteem you desire and you don't want anymore, then this does not apply to you. You can still gossip, go for those kind of movies, and hang out with those type of people to your heart content. However, if you want to make some changes in your life and eliminate negative programming, you may want to consider some of the following ideas that have worked well for me. And by the way, I don't know anyone who couldn't use a bit more self-esteem. Unlearn the drama. One of the saddest things I've ever heard someone say is people can't change. I believe we're each born with a clean, positive slate. Experts tells us that what children learn in the first couple of years is significant and will determine a lot about who they become as adults. Maybe mommy and daddy didn't teach you well, or maybe they did. But what about now? What are you continuing to learn? And more important, what are you deciding to unlearn? The following list outlines some of the many things that may be negative influences on your thinking. The first 10 minutes of a newscast. If it bleeds, it leads. The most negative and violent news always leads each newscast. Why? Because newscasters know they'll hook you with the drama. Isn't that a sad practice to boost viewership and ratings? The 10 o'clock news will give you detailed facts about crime, violence, and bad news, but it won't tell you how many fell in love that day. It won't tell you how many people volunteered their time that day. Since it's an ongoing daily process to practice being nice to yourself, you need some good news. You might be thinking, but I have to watch the news in order to be informed. You can become informed and be a part of the world events without allowing them to depress or distract you, without buying into the unnecessary, sensationalized negative spin on what's going on. You can become informed for one purpose, to do something about a problem or issue. You can become part of a solution rather than joining ranks with the millions of people who live in fear because they're informed of how bad things are. The last thing we need is more fear. Talk shows, negative reality shows, and soap operas. Many television shows focus on gossip and negative behavior. They tend to present the most critical, tragic, and petty side of human nature. They attract an audience by bringing out the worst in people. I know people who say they turn the television on to have background noise while they move about their day, but don't fool yourself into thinking the negative information doesn't get inside your head. On some level, your mind is listening, hearing, and programming the soap opera storyline. We were discussing this in a seminar one night when one student confessed that her guilty pleasure was watching a reality TV show. This young mother of two had a full-time job while attending night school. With so much going on, she would record her favorite show on DVR. She had about 20 episodes ready to watch. After my seminar, she went home and deleted them all. That night, her 8-year-old son told her he'd been bullied for the last several months. Her 5-year-old daughter shared a wonderful story about something she was excited about. How many times have the kids wanted to have these conversations with me, she wondered. But no, mommy's not available right now because I'm investing an hour of my time in this guilty pleasure at my expense of the kids. The shows themselves are bad enough, but perhaps the real crime is the time we waste while watching them. Some people know more about the messed up stars of their soap operas than the needs of their neighbors following a major natural disaster or the latest research in breast cancer. Is your relationship with those reality stars more important than taking time for conversations that truly matter? I challenge you to divorce yourself from all the negativity. Violent things. As a society, we've become desensitized to violence. It's a commonplace in movies, videos, music, television programs, and books. This is one of the most detrimental ways to program your mind. I was facilitating the little exercise I showed you earlier, calculating the number of hours you spend with negative garbage and programming, when a man in my audience blurted out, "Oh, please, I can watch major violent movies and they have no effect on me." Stunned, I immediately replied, "Sir, that's pretty scary. You can watch a major violence and it has no effect on you. You might want to look into that. Have you ever watched little children as they watch violence on the television? It's so unnatural to them, and they squirm and take short breaths. Violence is unnatural to your physical body and loving soul, just as are bickering, critiquing, judging, and heartlessness. But many have made it a part of who they are. They're hot-wired, their natural programming, and made an unnatural and unhealthy. It's something natural for them. The very good news here is that just as you learn to be negative, you can unlearn it. Negative and degrading story themes. Storylines in movies, videos, music, television programs, and books that tend to be degrading to other groups of people and that have a negative premise tend to depress your thoughts and affect your emotions. Many television shows give people a platform to belittle others and send the message that people are dispensable. These shows teach that it's okay to vote someone off the island or proclaim someone the weakest link. Is that what you really want going into your mind? Gossip is not that juicy. The dictionary defines gossip as a mischievous talk about someone else's affairs. Mischievous. Is that how you like to be thought of and remembered? I like to be remembered as being fun, colorful, exciting, entertaining, but not mischievous. And yes, you can be fun and entertaining without gossiping. Have you ever felt the sting of someone gossiping about you? Have you ever noticed how unattractive others look when they gossip? Remember that your purpose is to be nice to yourself and to make yourself more attractive. Gossip does the opposite. Think long and hard about the types of conversation you engage in. And by the way, just because you're not talking the gossip, the fact that you listen to it and allow it to happen in your presence makes you a full-fledged participant, just as guilty as the person doing the talking. When the gossip, it's as though you're pointing your finger at someone and proclaiming they're guilty. If they're guilty, then by definition, who else is guilty? You are. Remember, anytime you point the finger at someone, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. If you want to eliminate negative programming, try eliminating any or all sources of negative drama. Start now. Control what you allow in your mind. Cut off the negative programming the negative TV shows, the violent movies, the gossip, and the bad news. Instead, choose to focus on which makes your heart sing. Choose to spend time doing things that contribute to you as a person. Broaden your thought process. Focus on becoming informed, inspired, and enlightened. And discover new ways to uplift your spirits. Step 2, create a new program of things that make you happy. Once you've ditched the drama, you'll need to replace the negative garbage with positive programming. This can be different for every person, so you'll need to create the plan that works for you. Take a moment to think about the things you consider positive. Which television programs could you watch? Which books could you read? Which audio programs can you listen to? Which activities can you include in your daily life that will contribute to your well-being? Take a piece of paper and create a list of positive, uplifting things that you can do to change your perspective. And then commit to that. And plan of conditioning. By the way, I'm referring to daily conditioning. You could never go to just one motivational seminar and say, that's it, I'm positive for life. You never go to just one aerobics class and say, that's it, I'm fit for life. To create a new program of things that make you happy, things that make your heart sing, requires commitment, focus, practice. I absolutely love the connotation of the phrase, that which makes your heart sing. If you don't know exactly what makes your heart sing, it's fine if you just go through the motions with some of the activities suggested below until your soul catches hold. Some people say that having fresh flowers in their house makes their day go better. If that works for you, then commit to it. Nice and simple as it should be. How about turning off the 10 o'clock news and instead playing soft music and lighting candles around the house? Maybe some nice conversations over dinner with a good friend and positive programming for you. Or going to the gym, doing volunteer work, or reading a good book before bed. Here are a few more ideas to jumpstart your thinking. Turn your car and commute time into a learning experience. If I were asked to name one practice that would supersede all others in my personal journey to happiness, it would most definitely be listening to motivational audio programs in my car. In 1989, I bought a new car. And thanks to the challenge given by many mentors, I decided right then and there on the showroom floor that I would never listen to music in the car. Now, I happen to love music. I have a huge CD collection and a concert grand piano in my living room. However, when I'm in the car, I consider that time to be valuable, sacred time for me. That's when I can listen to the voices of my mentors without any interruption. Even if your commute time is only 10 minutes, how much better could your day be if you spent that time getting your mind focused by listening to a powerful motivational program? Drive a clean car. Let's try to do this one. As unusual as this may seem to some people, one of the things that makes me happy is driving a clean car. My day goes so much better when I'm driving around in a clean car. Yet, I'll sometimes drive a dirty car for weeks. No one is going to steal my car, wash it for me, and then bring it back. My daily commitment to positive conditioning and training means doing something simple that will make my day go better, including driving a clean car. Watch comedy television shows. Watch comedy television shows. Plenty of books and preachers will tell you to get rid of your television set. Although that's good advice for some, it's not for everyone. Sometimes at the end of a long day, only a mindless, silly sitcom can help me turn off my racing mind. I've read lots of motivational books, been to many positive seminars, and consider myself a nice guy. But I still own 3 TV sets. However, I am very disciplined as to what I will watch and what I won't. Trust me, or ask anyone who knows me. My channel surfing won't stop on a negative or violent movie or talk show for even a second. Create a dream board. I'm sure that many of us would agree that our minds work more in pictures than in words. Yes, it's valuable to write things down. If you think it, ink it. But how about pictures of what your heart sings? How about creating a dream board? Either on your own or with family and friends, gather up as many type of magazines as you can find. Fashion, architectural, travel, health, automotive, and whatever interests those in your group. For each participant, provide a large poster board, scissors and glue, turn on some fun or inspirational music, and maybe order some pizza. As you can see, I'm encouraging you to make this a fun activity, not some homework type of chore. Look through the magazines to discover pictures of what makes your heart sing. Perhaps it's a picture of your dream car. Maybe it's a photograph of a person who has the type of body you want. Maybe you've always wanted to take a Paris vacation. And while thumbing through a magazine, you find a photograph of the Eiffel Tower. Cut out those photos and glue them on your dream board. Avoid judgments of what should or should not be added to your dream board. When the little voice in your head tells you, oh, I shouldn't want that expensive car, ignore it and listen to your heart instead. If it makes your heart sing, it belongs on your dream board. Your heart is your good, God-given, built-in measurement to appraise and gauge the future direction of your life. A life filled with purpose and happiness. Once you complete your dream board, post it somewhere in your home or workspace to remind you of your new programming goals. Negative, self-doubt, doubting images can pop in your mind unannounced and uninvited, but your dream board will help you cancel them out. Make sure it's highly visible so you're in control. Study a Be Nice curriculum. I have a friend who, for some bizarre reason, loved reading books about serial killers. I once gave her a Walt Disney biography to read, but she said she had no interest in studying him. It was Macmillan who said, you are the same today that you'll be in 5 years from now, except for two things, the people you meet and the books you read. If you love reading trashy romance novels, then 5 years from now, your life will be a trashy romance novel. But if you read inspirational stories about friendship, volunteerism, and people who've overcome amazing obstacles and accomplished incredible things, then your life will be on that path. You'll be headed toward a life that makes a difference, filled with bliss and happiness. Make a list of people in your life who are nice. Study them, honor them. Place their attributes of being nice high on your list of things to admire, celebrate, and aspire to. People niceness over good looks, wealth, intelligence, and any other characteristic, and you'll soon begin to notice and attract nice people. That's great because they come into your life to teach you what you most need to learn. Collect stories of hope and inspiration. Look for nice, positive stories to combat the negative ones people want to share and recite. The next time someone starts telling a negative story, you can jump in with, yeah, but did you hear about those amazing kids who all shaved their hair so their classmate going through chemotherapy wouldn't feel out of place? One story that I love repeating again and again appeared in the Boston Herald on December 23rd, 1998. It's one of the nicest stories I've ever heard, and the main character was a frog-shaped lawn ornament named Phil. In her article, couple leaping for joy over return of a frog, Azelle Murphy Cavan described Phil as his sweetheart, Phyllis. For 8 years, the love frogs sat side by side on the masonry cement love seat underneath the shade of a multicolored ceramic umbrella on Gertrude and John Knight's front lawn in Swansea. But the peace and tranquility shared by the webbed-foot duo ended abruptly when Phil was kidnapped a few days before Easter. Soon after, postcards and letters began arriving from all over the world, from none other than Phil. The first one from Maryland with the message, Sick of sitting on your front lawn, had to get away, loved the frog. Others came from as far as Zurich, London, Indonesia, and Italy. A total of 13 postcards and 12 letters, many of which contained pictures of Phil basking in exotic locations and clearly enjoying the scenery. Then 9 months later, just as mysteriously as he disappeared, Phil came home again, pulling up to the house in the back seat of a white 28-foot stretch limousine. The Knights have no idea who took their precious frog and gave them such laughter and enjoyment, and the limo driver was no help either. It seems that the frog napper had not paid by credit card and had left no personal information. He simply asked the agency to pick up Mr. Frog and deliver him to the Knights. My husband recently had lung surgery, and I think he's recovering a lot faster because of this, said Gert Knight. We just laugh and laugh every time we think about it. Collecting and sharing stories like these can make you feel good on a regular basis. Don't wait until you're depressed and desperate to seek out positive programming and do things I've recommended here. If you do, the most you can hope for is to dig yourself out of a hole that you're in. Instead, if you program your mind and your life with the positive information and experiences on a daily basis, you begin to build up a reservoir that you can draw from later. That reservoir is like a Be Nice bank account. Anytime you go to get depressed, you can draw from it and without feeling so spiritually and emotionally bankrupt. Depression can be exactly what it is, a natural, normal human emotion, not emotional bankruptcy. Step 3, choose your focus. The book Tuesday with Marie, written by Mitch Albom and published by Doubleday, has a profound effect on me about the reality we choose to focus on. The author reflected on his visits to his former professor and how those visits of his professor impending death helped him discover a different reality. Early in this book, after his first visit to Marie, Albom wrote about a trip to England in the colorful British tabloids. People scooped up these tabloids, devoured their gossip, and on previous trips to England, I had always done the same. But now, for some reason, I find myself thinking about Marie whenever I read about anything silly or mindless. I kept picturing him there, in the house with these Japanese maple and hardwood floors, counting his breath, squeezing out every moment with his loved ones, while I spent so many hours on things that meant absolutely nothing to me personally. Movie stars, supermodels, and the latest noise of Princess Di and Montana or John F. Kennedy Jr. in a strange way. I envied the quality of Marie's time, even as I lamented its distinct diminishing supply. Why would we bother with all the distractions we did? Back home, the O.J. Simpson trial was in full swing, and there were people who surrendered their entire lunch hours watching it, and then taped the rest so they can watch more at night. They didn't know O.J. Simpson. They didn't know anyone involved in the case, yet they gave up days and weeks of their lives addicted to someone else's drama. I remembered that Marie said during our visit, the culture we have does not make people feel good about themselves, and you have to be strong enough to say if the culture doesn't work, don't buy it. Driving down the road of life, we all look through our windshields. We focus on where we are, what's going on around us, and where we want to go. But we also look at the rearview mirror to see where we've been and what happened back there. Now, what's in your mind? Rearview mirror, bad drama, bad experiences, bad relationship, past mistakes, old beliefs. Let's categorize all of that as baggage. You've got baggage in your rearview mirror. If I were to ask you to share with me a name from a bad relationship that you've once had, I'm sure you'd be able to produce that name. That person's name and the memory of that bad relationship, that baggage are all in your rearview mirror. Now, Here's where this gets interesting. Oftentimes, we're tempted to drive down the road of life focusing on only the rearview mirror. That idiot so and so, what he did to me. If you drove down any road focusing only on the rearview mirror, what do you think would happen? You'd end up where you don't want to be, or worse, you'd probably crash. When you don't look through your windshield and instead focus on the past and what happened back there, you have no control over where you'll end up. You're an accident waiting to happen. Ask yourself, where do I predominantly choose to focus? On the road ahead or my rearview mirror filled with the past? If you focus on your past, you may notice that you tend to worry about the future because your focus is carried the negative experiences from your past into your present. I'm not saying to pretend those bad things never happened. Denying them has no merit or value in the pursuit of being nice to yourself in the future. That's not what positive mental thinking means. I'm simply suggesting that you put your bad experiences into perspective and just glance into your rearview mirror every once in a while. Maybe you're driving down the road of life toward your new relationship. Look through your windshield to the fun and excitement that lies ahead, and occasionally check out the rearview mirror for useful information. I learned that from my past relationship. I've been there before, and I'm not going to repeat that again. You program the future. You program tomorrow with today's thoughts and beliefs. If today's beliefs include statements like relationships just don't work, and if today's thoughts are about how you messed up in the past, what's tomorrow going to be like? Exactly the same, if not worse. When you continually focus and worry about bad things that were in the past, you might as well destined to repeat them. Worry is a form of negative goal setting. These bad experiences in your rearview mirror are meant to be valuable lessons and discoveries you made in life. Creating a different future requires you to choose your focus carefully. Life is a choice, and how you feel about yourself today is a result of choices you made in the past. Almost done with chapter 3. Law of attraction. I believe in the law of attraction, which means that you put out to the universe comes back to you. What you put out in the universe comes back to you. Call it what you want. Karma, cause and effects. Your thought affects your destiny. Whatever you think about a lie, you'll eventually act upon. Repeat the action over and over, and it becomes a habit. Habits form your character, and your character determines your destiny. If you want to control your destiny, if you want to make money and be successful, fall in love, or be happy, it all starts with your thoughts. The law of attraction can work for you or against you. If you put out negativity, you'll get back negativity. For example, if you have a negative question, why am I so stupid? Your amazing search engine of all the brain will provide a negative answer. Likewise, if you put negative gossipy conversations, you'll get back more of the same. On the other hand, if you share your positive goals, dreams, and fantasies, you'll get positive results. Let's say you want to make a lot of money. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people associate poverty and spirituality, but there's nothing spiritual about not being able to pay your bills. If you tell people about your goals, dreams, fantasies, and the solutions, resources can come your way. No more blame. When you blame others for your current situations, you give power away. It's their fault that I'm not happy. How do you take your power back? You stop blaming others and realize that you're responsible. Psychologist, motivational speaker, and best-selling author Dennis Waitley said, if people would accept history as already being there, they would not spend so much time rehashing history. The only thing you can change is your response to what just happened. I can change my response to what you do say, and I also can change the way I anticipate what's going to happen and then change what I do. I can change the way I view the future, but I cannot change what you do. In other words, you are responsible. No matter what happened to you, you are able to choose your response. you're never a victim because you can always choose to focus. And hopefully you'll always choose to focus on better and not be bitter. Remember the 3 steps for controlling your future. You'll be well on your way to being nice to yourself. Eliminate and cancel your negative programming. Create a new program of things that make you happy and choose your focus. Go through the motions, fake it till you make it, and good self-esteem will surely follow. Your home play assignment. Be selfish in a good way. What fills up your reservoir? What are those good selfish things you do to make yourself happy in any given moment? Try this little exercise to help you find out. Divide a sheet of paper into 2 columns. Label the left hand column have to do and the right hand column nice to do, as shown in the example below. In the left-hand column, list some things that you have to do, such as grocery shopping and taking the trash cans to the curb. In the right-hand column, come up with an activity or action that will be fun. Add some fun and pleasure to have to do item. Add nice to do activities to your have to do chores, and is a great way to fill your reservoir each and every day. Have to do. Go grocery shopping, take the trash cans to the curb, mow the lawn, return a long list of telephone calls. Nice to do. Grab a cup of Java at the coffee shop and across the street from the grocery store. Pet the next door neighbor's dog after dropping the cans off. Put on headphones and listen to a stand-up comedian, motivational message, or favorite music while mowing. Do it while soaking in the bathtub. Just be careful not to drop the phone. If you're thinking this is so silly and simple, then my response will be thanks. It's supposed to be simple. Being nice to yourself doesn't have to be hard, so why make it difficult? So tomorrow we will be reading chapter 4. And we are done reading chapter 3 of Be Nice or Else by Winn Claybough. See you guys.